Tom, the losing streak has come to an end. Arkansas wins it by 3 last night. Overall thoughts on that victory?
Hey, guys, always a pleasure. Oh, that was pretty wild to be down as much as they were down, to start the game with the lack of offensive flow that they did, to shoot as poorly as they did. If fans were questioning how bought in the team was, you do not rally from a game like that. With the other team, is you could see it in the Georgia huddles, man. They thought they had it. But you can't question the Razorbacks, like their willingness to get better and try to win when you come back in a game like that where you're not shooting it well. You're two of your guards both are 3 of 14. Mm-hmm. Davis and Wagner 3 of 14, and then Knox was either 1 of 5 or 1 of 6, but he made up for it at the free throw line. They won it because they got gritty. Jimmy Dykes talked about this on the air. They got gritty. They pounded it inside. Theroux is going to need to take more shots moving forward. I mean, you can't let the guards stop shooting, but those are the ones that are falling more often. And you're not going to get the calls. I thought Arkansas got several home court calls, more than they've got most any game this year. But still, they did all the things that were necessary. You look at the South Carolina-Florida game that preceded it. South Carolina led the whole game, and Florida took it from them. And in this game, Georgia led almost the whole game, and Arkansas took it from him. My respect for Cal has gone up during this. He shoots from the hip. He talks like a stream of consciousness after a game, and just the joy and just the trying to describe what they're going through. You feel for him a little bit. Part of it is the roster makeup, but Arkansas needed that so badly. To think that they might be 0-6. That you don't want to think about that.
That's how we describe Tom. Yeah. Tommy. That's gritty.
Yeah. You mentioned John L. Davis, 3 of 14. That included 1 of 10 from 3-point shooting. Arkansas was 3 of 23 there as a team, Tom. What do you do about that if you're this coaching staff? Do you just keep firing away? I mean, 23 is a problem, but 23 is maybe a bigger problem.
Well, Davis is a shooter, and you heard Cal last night talking about how he went back, I think it was Sunday, and just studied how FAU used him. And I think it was specifically a game against like A&M or somebody that he really went off. And they're using him. They're freeing up his shots, getting him in the spots that he liked at FAU. You notice that Jimmy Dykes said the 1-3 that he made was one where I think it was actually Newell jumped out at him, and he was like pretty tightly guarded. That was a 1-3 he made. You can't stop a guy like that from shooting. Yeah. If it's part of the flow of the offense, if it's, quote, an open shot, and they did miss many threes that were open, and you got to think now with this win, perhaps they can start building confidence because there's only, 8 deep, and, these guys have got to play. One thing I would like to see is just better decisions by the guys like Billy Richmond. He had an offensive foul that was so obvious. You just can't do that, kid. So there's some things like that, and but man, they battled last night.
Yeah, I heard Jimmy also mention that zone defense should become maybe more of the mix. Cal's a man first guy, but has that in the arsenal. Should they implement? Should they deploy maybe a little more zone defense with an 8-man roster now with Fland out just to preserve the legs?
They might have to, particularly in games where the fouls stack up more, because the guys who are inclined to get them, Brazil, Theroux, they're your interior guys, and at some point you might have to protect them. I just think you have to keep it in your arsenal for sure. But last night I thought going to the full court pressure stuff kind of turned the tempo, changed the momentum of the game. I think that was the beginning. And I asked Mike White about that, and he didn't really answer, but I just felt like I think they got a couple of turnovers out of it, and it got the crowd into it more, and I think Arkansas on the half-court offense right now, it's not beautiful. So anything you can do to create more full-court stuff plays to their favor, and I think this coach's staff is smart enough. They're gonna have the zone at their disposal. They're gonna be able to do more full court. They've got to employ everything you can. And by the way, you guys probably heard me ask Chin Coleman about the archaic reference used on Calipari and his staff, and that's another reason why my respect is up. The way Chin Coleman handled that, this guy's a Hall of Famer. Somebody who says that we're archaic, they're fishing, and I think that might have been a little bit of a motivator here.
Well, I think absolutely. Talk about style of play and what's good for a team that's got a short bench. A game that has 9 built-in timeouts with the medias and the one called timeout in the second half, plus the other called timeouts, and then 63 free throw attempts last night. It may be ugly to watch, but Tom, if you've got thin legs as far as who's available, that game last night, its pace, the lack of flow probably helped a team that was a little shorthanded.
There's no question about that, and I think Cal even referenced that on his SEC Network interview. That and obviously Arkansas shot more fouls, a lot more fouls, and but they were so aggressive going to the boards. They whistled a lot of defensive rebound fouls on Georgia, but when they showed the replays of them, these guys were tangled up with Arkansas. Maybe you don't get that number of calls every game, but those looked legit. And I feel Mike White's frustration. They got the imbalance of the call.
Yeah, Blue Cane had a couple ticky-tack ones calling him. We're talking with Tom Murphy, Whole Hog Sports, Arkansas, Democrat-Gazette. Tom, is Cal going to wear the same suit on Saturday?
I did not expect that question. I'm sure he's got a big enough repertoire that, if he cleaned it, yeah, maybe, but I don't know him well enough to say what he's going to have on.
I bet it won't be blue on Saturday, though.
Probably not, man.
Maybe like the most overblown
but
point
isn't
of
that
conversation.
funny? The first time he wears a red suit, they win a game.
Well, he's worn a red sport coat before,
but not in conference. First time he wears.
My God, do you really think that has anything to do?
It's just funny. It's a funny coincidence.
No, but there is and we've all heard from them. We've all gotten text and messages this week. People that are really genuinely hacked off, Tom, because of the wardrobe
You
selection.
make fun of me every time I wear powder blue. Like, that's not our colors.
No, it's
that's
not.
not. And I looked down. I was like, I guess I can only wear red and white here when I walk into the studio. I would think you'd be all for Cal's suit.
Oh, man.
Where he came from. So
y'all are killing me, man. Rest in peace, Bob Holt. He's my brother. I love him. That was kind of his thing. Suit combinations, team combinations, colors. I got some emails about it, but Cal's a grown man. But yeah, he should be repping the red more often, right?
Tom, you mentioned obviously your late colleague Bob. One of your other colleagues, Matt Jones, wrote a recent piece in Whole Hog Sports about the changing of donor levels within the Razorback Foundation. We just got a spirited text from Jim in Magazine. What are your thoughts on them upping that and this soon to come changing of the seats within Bud Walton Arena?
Yeah, I read that, and I read Wally Hall, my boss, had a column on it today. And I think Wally so frequently writes about the common man and all, but what we're talking about here is, unfortunately, a part of the changing landscape and keeping up with the Joneses. And I don't know how Arkansas's donation system compares to other schools, but I think they feel like to keep up with the demand in finances in football and basketball, men's basketball in particular, that something had to be done. I couldn't afford it. It's not my deal, but I feel for the loyal folks who are going to have to pay a lot more to enjoy the same. I didn't read all the specifics about it, but it just seems like it's the price of doing business, and it's a tough time for fans. You want to be a loyal fan, and Arkansas is in the biggest, baddest conference, and there's a price that comes with that,
I have flown first class one time in my life, and that was a free upgrade because they had messed some things up. I don't fly first class. I don't pay for that. That's just not a luxury that I spend my money on. This is what, but if you want to sit there and you want to have, house slippers and mimosas for 3 hours, they'll do that for you. That's what this is. I kind of equate it to, I'm going to sit in coach or business class. There's others that are going to sit in first class. We're all going to get to the same place. but I'm not going to pay the fare for first class. And essentially, those that are, how would you like to pay for first class but sit and coach? And that's what they're trying to figure out.
Here's what I'm saying: those upper crust, those first class members.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, 40 of them just came from the other terminal, and they're kicking you out of your seat, so you're not going to make your flight. That's what I think fans feel.
But that's not what's happening, though. That's not reality. I mean, to me, it's, they're paying for the privilege to sit there. I wish I could afford to write that check and sit there for all the games, but can't. I just hope they use the tickets or show up and. Tom, I don't want to have empty seats, Tom. That's the main thing, is not having empty seats.
You got an extra $40,000, Tom?
Yeah, I wish. I'm sure some people will peel off. It's just the way. I mean, it's clearly the way they feel like their finances have to move going forward.
BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, and college basketball to NHL and UFC, head to BetOnline today and don't forget to use the promo code BELIEVE for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here.